Greetings everyone, welcome back to the channel, and today I want to make a four-legged mech in Trailmakers. I haven't done it before, but I don't think it'll be too difficult, right? And I thought we might as well make it a follow-along, like, tutorial kind of video, where you all can build on your own Trailmakers, and then we can all build four-legged mechs. And now I should not be wasting any more time, because I can't cut much footage, because this is supposed to be a follow-along, so let's get straight to building. So let's just start off with a little bit of a base, and we're going to start by putting our 4 hinges. So I think I'm going to go with 2 hinges like this. That's for the forward-backwards movement. I have to flick that. So these hinges will move forward, like the legs forward and backwards, and then we'll have need something else to raise it up and down. I don't want to stack hinges on hinges like that. Let's do this. Yeah, I'm just gonna stack them, it's fine. We'll have servos down here for the forward backwards part, and then we can have a hinge on the side for up and down. Now, we're gonna do with the settings later, but for now, let's just start building the legs, I guess. So I'm gonna go with this for now, and we'll have some sort of system to make this like on a diagonal, so instead of going like that, it's gonna be like that. Like a spider's legs. And yeah, and then we have some suspension at the bottom with the friction pad. Let's copy this over for the other 4 legs. Cool. Now, these are simple enough legs, so let's just start working on the logic then. For the logic, firstly, we're gonna need something to raise these up. That hinge is facing the wrong way. So first things first, we're gonna select all the hinges by control double clicking it and set them to linear. This makes some of the logic stuff easier. Because this makes it so that if I send a like 0.5 input into here, it's gonna only rotate halfway, not just a tiny bit. Just do that, trust me. So now we're gonna have a NOR gate. This is gonna be an always on kind of thing. And we're gonna connect it into these hinges at the base and the hinges at the end, not the middle ones, because we want them to stay around 90 anyways. Green up for these ones and green inside for these ones. Alright, seems good. So now we get this. Looks pretty good. Now we just gotta make the walking part. But, first things first, I'm gonna make our 8 hinges to an angle of, let's just go with 60 degrees. Why am I doing this? Well, that's because this is gonna be a 0.5 input, because we need to use these hinges for other things as well. So like when we're walking, we need these hinges to like raise and lower the legs as well. So we can't just send a maximum input in them. So this is set to 0.5 into those hinges. And each of those hinges, not these ones, are set to 60 degrees. Also, we don't really need steering help. You can turn that off and turn strength to max if you want. Alright, just to make it look a little better, I also connected the NOR gate into our 4 servos. Remember, the NOR gate's at 50% input, and each of the servos is now going to set to 60 degrees. We can set the strength to max, and we are going to keep these ones at speed 1, and these 2 we're going to have to flip the speed to -1. Don't forget that one. And then just move them in a bit so that we get this sort of stance at the start. I'm going to use an OR gate to send the input inside, and now what we want is for this leg and this leg to both raise up and move forward. We want both of these legs to move forward and raise up. We want this leg and this leg to move backwards without raising up. So let's do that first. This servo and this servo are set to negative speed. This servo and this servo are set to positive. So for the negative servos, by the way, I set all the servos and hinges to a speed of 0.5, well, except for this and this servo, which are negative 0.5. Alright, for this, we're going to need a negative input for this servo to move forward, and a positive input for this servo. So let's do that. Positive for this one, and negative for this one. By the way, when I'm copying it in a way that it's not connected to anything. That means when I put it back, it's not having any connections. You can alternatively also just like pull it out from here, the build menu. That also works. It's just make sure they're not crosswired. So it's great. This is going to be negative. This is going to be positive. Cool. We want this leg to move back, so this one's also going to be negative. So in fact, I'm just going to move the servo to the gate to this side. These two servos are negative, so I'm going to guess these two are positive. Because we want to move this to move back. Yeah, cool. Now we also want the positive input to be sent into this hinge and this hinge, so we want it to move up. This is our first thing. Positive for this and this hinge and these two servos, negative for these two servos. And we're going to set both of these gates to space for now. Let's see what it does. Hey, that was good. We're moving a little bit too far forward because our legs are now colliding. So we might want to fix that. I think we're just going to reduce this angle to like 45 degrees maybe. That should be fine, honestly. Hopefully. If it's not, we can just also move these servos forward and back a bit. Let's see how that goes. That's part one. Now that we're in this state, we want to now raise the front left and back right legs and move them forward, and lower the front right and back left legs and move them back. And that should move us forward. Let's try that. Again, I'm copying it over to make sure it's not connected anywhere, but like copying it in a way it's not connected. Cool. So now we're going to set the negative on this side and the positive on this side. So this is going to be +1, and we want that to be set to these two, and -1 set to these two. Now this will do the opposite of what we did here. And we're also going to want the +1 into these two hinges, and -1 into none of the hinges. This is where we are right now. We don't really need the hinge to move all the way up and down, so we just leave it neutral. I think that's good. Just, yeah, make sure this is all good. And now one more thing. So for this one, we're going to have a duration of 0.5, set the delay to 0, I mean, and a pause of 0.5. So after half a second, this will stop working, and then it'll wait for another half second before it works again. For these two, we're going to have a delay of 0.5, so it'll wait half a second until this one's done working, then it'll work for half a second, and then it's going to also pause for another half second and repeat the cycle. So all three of these to 0.5. These two are going to only have these at 0.5. Just set 0. Make sure you have inputs and everything, and we should be good to try walking. Without sinking into the ground. That's a bit annoying, but let's try it. Alright, we're a little bouncy, but it is working, as you can see. So maybe let's try adding a bit of weight. Alright, I think part of the problem is also the collision that we saw earlier. So I think I'm going to move these servos and stuff a little bit forward. And these ones backwards. It's just so we don't collide. Alright, I think we're having a bit of an issue where the legs are sinking into the ground. So what I'm going to do is we're going to make the base a little wider so it doesn't sink into the ground. I'm going to turn the back suspension backwards, so that that points backwards and these two can be forward. We're going to add one of these. So now let's figure out how we're going to turn, and then we're going to, we can, I guess, continue off there. But we've got something that works, basically. And let's do a bit like tank steering, where we're just going to have this mechanism go backwards. This is for the right side, this is for the left side. As we know that. And this is left forward, this is right forward. So what I'm going to do actually for these ones is not have any input in here. And let's make a backwards version of these, for when we want to move backwards. The way I've done it is that these two are forward for the right legs, these two are backwards for the right legs, and then forward, left, backwards, left. Simple enough. And this in the middle is for the hinges up and down, because that will always be consistent. Now we can just basically use it as tank steering. So what I'm going to do is when I press forward, we'll have another OR gate here. When I press forward, I want these two, and this to activate. That's for forward. Now when I press backwards, I still want these two, but I also want these two to activate. Cool. When I press A, or D, sorry, I want to have backwards on these two and forwards on these two, and the middle one obviously. When I press A, I want backwards on these legs, forwards on these legs, and the middle. So we basically program tank steering. So now we can turn like that. We turn the other way too. It's a little bouncy, but it works. We can move forward. That's not connected, right? That's because this is supposed to be S. My bad. That's gonna be S. That's gonna be W. Say and D. Now that we got a basic mech working, I think I'm gonna spend some time, and I've been wanting to recreate a, well, at least inspired off of a mech from the anime 86. So yeah, I kind of want to make that. I don't know how to tie that into a tutorial, especially because I'm really bad at talking while building. But I guess I can time-lapse that. But this is the basic logic for four-legged walking. I guess you can still tune it afterwards. That's about it. These hinges, we didn't actually end up using them, but you could use them the same way you use these ones to like raise the leg a bit higher. You know, why don't we do that right now? So when we're triggering these two hinges, we're also going to trigger these two ones to raise it higher. And we'll do the same with this one. These two can raise it higher. Now make sure that these hinges are green on the outside. So that raises it up. So this is the wrong way. Same with this one. So now it raises it up a bit higher, as you can see. That's another option. So yeah, this is it. I'll probably upload this little example to the workshop, but I hope you guys could follow along. The video's not over yet. I'm still making another mech. That's it for the tutorial part of the video, I guess. So before we go into the whole time lapse for the really cool build I'm making, just wanted to show this to show that like you can really make this go quite fast. I just maxed out the speed on all the servos, sped up all the logic timings, and then added a bunch of gyro stabilizers, a few gyros for turning, a couple of fins, and a bunch of gimbal jets that are just pushing downwards. So they're at negative speeds, they're pushing downwards, and then just stop like collision issues in case we jump up in the air. It'll deactivate the system if we're in the air. Just if we're falling downwards, don't worry about it. So yeah, I'll probably upload this in the workshop as well. And yes, I know it's bad. It's not like I spent any time on this. This took like 5 minutes. My point is, you can make much faster stuff with this as well. You don't have to go like really slow builds like the template one I showed. So I may or may not have forgotten to record the first part of the build, but it was boring anyways. Now we're just moving straight onto the gun because the main body was done previously without recording. But yeah, we just made a barrel. We are piston glitching 2 small tank cannons for extra damage, I guess. And yeah, just not really much to talk about, to be honest. I felt that the drop off was a lot, so I did piston accelerate it, as you can see. And then just working on the rest of it. And yes, I did add aiming servos for some ability of controlling. And I also got bored and just blew up my build afterwards. Next day of recording, I also kind of stopped recording and finished up the gun. I don't know what's wrong with me. But yeah, we're here now. So now we need to start working on the legs and the walking part. I mean, that is the most interesting part anyways, so aren't you happy I waited for now? Don't mind the pauses. I was just checking in the other tab to like review the photo and the 3D model to work off of. In order to save hinges, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna angle the first part already just using wedges, and then I'll have a hinge at the joint, but not at the start. Just to make it less wobbly when walking, compared to like our template mech, for example. Decals. Not much to talk about. As you can see, I'm angling the second half of the leg outwards. The same thing we did on the template, except on this I'm angling the leg part. On the template we didn't do that, because we angled it from the very base, not like halfway through. Does that make sense? Anyways, now to actually program the walking, I am just pulling up the template build and I'm using it as a reference so I can see what's connected to what hinges and connect it accordingly. This is something you can also do when you're making your own mechs. And just delete the template afterwards. And it's not really working too well, but I'm just adjusting the timings to make it work better. As you can see, it can walk. A lot of it's just adjusting angles, to be honest, and stuff like to stop it from like sinking to the ground, the right amount of friction that you want, and yeah, controlling bounciness, all that. And one other thing I did was I added pistons on the legs, so these are the same thing as what the hinges do, except they extend when the hinge is supposed to be down and like retract when the hinge is supposed to be up. So here we are, the final build. This took a while to build, but I'm actually really happy with the result. Okay, let's get started with the worst part probably, which is the walking. I tried tuning it and stuff, and it's not bad, but it's also not the best. But still overall, like on flat ground, it does decently well, going up to like 45. Which I can make it go even faster. Like I initially had it going even faster, up to like 60 to 70, by like just speeding up all the hinge speeds, but it didn't look as good, so I slowed it down. And it was also a bit glitchy, so yeah. And this isn't slow by any means. Like the real thing this is based off of has a top speed of 60 kilometers an hour, so like we're going 45 already, so it's not bad. In fact, this is actually really close to 1-to-1 scale, I'm pretty sure. Anyways, we have a few other things like that jump, or dash, I guess. We have a normal jump. Just get in the air. Which uses the legs to kick up, and then it uses a bit of thrust as assistance. Just to help it leap a bit further. We can also activate that thrust while walking just to go a little faster and help us go up hills, which it's still not great at, but it can do with the thrust. Yeah. It's not the best uphill. It's oftentimes just more efficient just to do this uphill. But you know what would make this so much better at going uphill? Grappling hooks. You see, the real thing has grappling hooks. That's what these things are supposed to be over there. But we don't have grappling hooks in Trailmakers, but we should totally have them. And no, I'm not talking about making them out of power coupling, because that doesn't really work too well. Now for the weapons itself, we have our main gun, which is 2 small tank cannons, and I put it on a turret with the like limited degree of like motion, just to help with like aiming a bit, I guess. The real thing doesn't have a turret, but yeah, it works pretty well. We also have 2 submachine guns, and we have swords. Now, on the actual thing, you can like switch between like machine guns and swords as like an attachment. I just put both because we're not switching builds. And honestly, this works pretty well in combat. You know what? Let's switch over to like pioneers or something, just to try it out against some botneck. I think we should just try taking out the first mega drill, just for fun. It's not gonna be too great at it, I don't think, but it could be fun. We're probably gonna have to repair a bunch, just because terrain and all that stuff. What are you shooting at? I don't know what I was aiming at there, but yeah, we should get out of here. Anyways, let me continue talking about it. It's really fun, I guess. Yeah. What did I talk about so far? I guess the weapons and stuff are left. I mentioned those, I guess. I don't know. Something. Come back here. swords do work on the botneck, by the way. I think the main, like, I'm really happy with how the build turned out. The main thing is just mobility is limited. And I feel like at this point I'm just repeating myself, so... You know what, let's just turn up the music a bit and have some fun while I take out this... Oh, I don't have cannon. Time to repair. that wasn't too bad, other than the couple times we got stuck down here. But it's fine. So yeah, that's this mech, I guess. Why are more enemies spawning in all of a sudden? I hope you guys enjoyed that video. I hope you learned something and got some inspiration for stuff to build as well. And I'll see you in the next video. Goodbye.